All right, let's move on to Tennessee at Georgia. Georgia winning this one 27-13. I was the only one to pick Georgia, although I didn't pick them by the margin that they won. So I got the point here. So just summarize the game real quick. I mean, it was a big one, and game day was there, and all that good stuff. On the first possession, and Dejan Edwards fumbled, and me just sitting there watching, I'm like, here we go. Set up the Vols on the Georgia side of the field. The defense did hold them to a field goal, though. And then on Georgia's possession or second possession, Stetson avoided a sack and ran it in for a touchdown. It did have to be reviewed, and the touchdown was awarded, but no targeting. He did get hit in the helmet. I don't know.
That whole play was really weird because I was waiting for them to say targeting, and then they never did. And I'm like,
yeah,
it looked a little bit like targeting. Like I could see where you'd throw the flag and at least review it, but
right.
No, but
Apparently, they were more focused on the
they were
touchdown than the
they were
targeting.
really. And I don't know how they botched that call for the touchdown. It was
I
clearly
don't
a
know
touchdown.
either, because especially with the judge right there. I mean,
He was
he
looking
didn't
right down the
even, it
line.
wasn't even close to stepping out. I don't know. Anyway, in the next few possessions at the end of the first quarter and into the second quarter, Georgia was able to work the ball downfield with receivers who managed to get open. Stetson throwing accurate deep passes. Georgia scored a couple more times thanks to plays like this, and then the defense really seemed to do a good job of covering Tennessee's receivers, mostly man coverage. And they were able to get pressure on Hooker. Keely Ringo also intercepted him with about 5 minutes left in the second. By
Which was
half,
the most ridiculous looking interception I've ever seen in my
it looked
friggin'
like
life.
he had the better position on the ball than the receiver did. The
Yeah,
receiver should have turned into a defender at that point. It was,
it was
like you said, it was
awful.
weird looking. By half, it was 24-6 Georgia. In the second half, Georgia continued to get pressure on Hooker and contain that high-powered Tennessee offense, but Georgia seemed to shift to a more conservative approach on offense, at least from my perspective. I don't know, ran the clock, but didn't score much more. In the end, the defense was able to close out the game. The offense possessed the ball enough to drain the clock, and Dogs won 27-13. What you guys got for
I'm
takeaways on
going
this?
to just quickly say, because most of it, I'm just going to let y'all have this one. I actually wanted Tennessee to win because it looks better for Alabama if they win. Um, but good gracious, finally someone got pressure on Hendon Hooker. Heavenly day. And that was
Yeah,
literally my only takeaway that's worth saying, because I hate them both. I'm going to leave it to you guys.
understand, Matt.
Um, listen, this was a bad day from the get. When that fumble went down in the very first quarter, the very first drive, I was like, this is different. This is a little bit of a different feel than the Tennessee Georgia game usually goes. And I think
Chance to
it
silence the
was all
crowd
downhill
too.
from there. Right. And we couldn't capitalize on it. Tennessee struggled to move the ball. That Georgia defense, which I had said was overblown and had not been challenged. Apparently, I was wrong because they did a great job of shooting that offense out of the air and just completely shutting them down. Hooker looked really uncomfortable all day long. A lot of pressure in his face. He missed a couple of key throws early too that we'd seen previously. He would hit those earlier in the year. On Saturday, he couldn't hit those to save his life. I'm going to chalk that up to a bad day. Plus, Jalen Hyatt, I think, in the post-game interview said that was probably one of the loudest experiences he's ever had, and this is a guy that's played in Neyland. The Georgia crowd came to play, and they came to influence that game, and they did influence that game. I think there was like 4 or 5 false start plays just in the first quarter or second quarter alone. And Georgia did a great job keeping them off the field. 2 for 14 on third downs, usually not an indication that your offense is having a good day. And just a rough day for the Vols offense all around. The defense tightened up in the second half, but again, that might be because Georgia decided to play a little bit more conservative, which I don't understand why in the world Kirby did that. I'm not sure what the situation was with that particular thing. Maybe he was just trying to milk clock and get out of the game with a win, or something along those lines. But here's my hope. This game does hurt because I hate losing to Georgia more than anybody. I did not have nice things to say about Georgia or anybody associated with that university on Saturday. and I still don't have a whole lot of nice things to say, except for Wes. Wes is the only decent one out there from what I can tell. The rest of them suck. Anyhow,
what an honor.
yeah.
And a nice person amongst horrible human beings.
Yeah, you're the only tolerable one. The Ball Goose will back me up on this. But with that being said, I would love to see this game again, which you would think I wouldn't, but I would love to see this game again. But I would love to see this game after Tennessee's worked out some of the issues that they ran into in this one, and have a chance to look at Georgia's tape and see what worked for them, and also play this game on a neutral site. I think if you take those factors into play, Tennessee has a better chance of winning this ball game. I think the crowd took Hendon Hooker out of it. I think the crowd took the defense out of it. I think the crowd, the whole team was fired up as all get out during that game. You can tell just from the way that they were, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. Absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage. Georgia's offensive and defensive lines did not give the Vols a chance at all due to how they were pushing everybody around. So
I think the Vols finally got a taste of what everybody else got in Neyland this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a little bit of, I think that played a lot larger part than people are making it out to be.
Yeah. From your perspective, Matt, I just want to know, was that a safety in the end zone?
I know the play you're talking about. To me, and this is the problem with those safety. I think it was an incomplete pass because it looked like his arm was moving forward.
I would have been okay with that call.
It looked like it was moving forward a little bit. Now, whether the ball got advanced past outside of the end zone, no, I didn't think so. I thought that was a blown call. But and they reviewed it. I don't know how in the world they managed to get that ball squeaked out to the 1-inch line. But yeah, I would call that a safety or an incomplete pass before I call it whatever they call. I don't even remember advanced to the.
They said it advanced out to like the 1 foot line or whatever. I could have stomached a incomplete pass. I could look at that and be like, okay, I get that. I did not understand the call.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But it worked out because the short field ended up being that touchdown pass right after it. So I mean, who knows how it would have worked out, but still, it was kind of odd. Anyway, I mean, you guys already touched a little bit on it, and I was shocked how well Georgia's secondary was able to play the receivers. Mm-hmm. We were able to get pressure on Hendon Hooker, but he had multiple plays where he had time and surveyed the field, and there was just nobody open.
Covered sacks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was watching this on TV, just like mouth wide open, like. How is this possible? How are these guys, covered like this? Because I've watched Tennessee all year, and it hasn't been like this at all. So kudos to the secondary on that. So Georgia's defense came into this game with 10 sacks on the year, and they had 6 in this game. Ooh. So I mean, that's another bizarre stat. I feel like Stetson Bennett proved once again that he can handle the spotlight. I know a lot of people, even Georgia fans still Georgia fans are still like, why is this guy in there with all our 5 stars on the bench? Whatever. I would argue that not only does he prove he can handle the spotlight, but I think some of his best games have come under the spotlight. So there's that. I cannot stand the conservative play calling. And when I'm watching, run up the middle over and over again in like the 3rd and 4th quarters, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like when you play not to lose, that's exactly when you lose. We've watched Tennessee score quickly many times this year, and I'm like, before you know it, if you screw around and you don't do what you've been doing, Tennessee's right back in this game. So I don't really understand that. Todd Monken had a great game overall on offense, play calling, but then I just don't understand those runs up the middle. I have never been a fan of taking your foot off the gas once you have a lead like that, especially against a high-powered offense like Tennessee. So big win for Georgia, but can't get complacent in these last few weeks. Not necessarily that I think they'll lose given the competition that they'll be playing, although who knows. But also style points. And we're talking about the committee. Matt, to your point, you're talking about how this loss will affect Tennessee. Well, spoiler alert, the committee apparently doesn't think it's that big of a deal.
Not that big of a problem, apparently.
So anyway, so more to follow on that.